love that one.
I've never made a video like this. I'm going to try to post it to YouTube and see how it goes. Amidst everything that's going on, I've got one kid that still goes to public school and one kid that has decided to stay home. My child in public school came home last week talking about a movie that they watched together. Now, mind you, during all of this COVID crap, we'll call it, they put all of the classes and all of the grades together from the elementary into the auditorium and watched a movie together with masks on, apparently. True, there's only about 13 or 15 kids per class, and I guess it's not a lot or whatever, considering there used to be like 30, 35 kids per class. Now there's 13, 15 kids per class. It's whatever. It is what it is, okay? We'll get to it. Anyway, they put them all into the auditorium and they watched a movie together, and I'm going to explain to you the movie. Shaun the Sheep. So there's this flock of sheep, and there's one sheep in it named Shaun, and he is a free-thinking sheep. He thinks to himself why things have to be the way that they are, why he's got to go with the rest of the flock. Why does he got to go wherever the shepherd or the farmer goes? Why does he only have to eat and sleep and do whatever the farmer and the shepherd and the rest of the flock do? He's got all these thoughts. And these sheep are like, I understand, why don't we overthrow the shepherd farmer and take ourselves back? And that's what they do. They don't listen to Shaun because he's like, well, that could have a really bad outcome. I understand, whatever and whatever. But what you're talking about could have a really bad outcome because the way you're about to try to do it. And they're like, oh, no, it'll work. Watch. We'll just trick him into thinking it or whatever, and it'll be okay. So they're tricking the farmer shepherd guy. And then the guy ends up with some kind of amnesia or something like that, and he ends up in the city. He's got amnesia. He's in the city. The flock and the other animals are in the farm are like, yeah, we got the farm to ourselves. Woo! And they start wilding ass out, right? And Shaun the Sheep, the guy who started it kind of a little bit, he had an idea and it kind of went wrong. He had an idea and the following sheep took it wrong and did it the wrong way. And every way that they do it, they just end up with one problem after another. And it's common sense problems. Like if you hadn't had done that, then that wouldn't have happened. And now there wouldn't be a problem kind of thing. And Shaun is trying to tell them this. And they're like, oh no, we'll just do this and this and this. It'll fix it. And he's like, no, that's like putting a Band-Aid, on a gunshot. It's not going to work. You have to fix it from the inside out. And they're like, oh, no, we'll just do this and it'll be okay. Well, that causes another problem and so on and so forth. You know where I'm going with this. Okay, the sheep are fucking up. And Shaun's like, no, you can't do that because you keep fucking up. You got to do it this way from the inside out. So then the sheep are like, and the animals on the farm are like, oh, damn, we really do need the shepherd farmer because if it wasn't for him, we never lived like this. Everything was exactly how it needed to be. And that's how the fuck it was. And everything was safe and everything was okay and everybody was happy because the farmer shepherd guy told us what to do and we were content with it. We were okay with it. So this is what happens. The flock is like, okay, well, fuck it. Let's go into the city and we'll get our shepherd farmer back, right? And Shaun's like, no, you can't do that. We're a bunch of goddamn animals going in there. We're going to get in trouble. Stay here. We'll wait for dark time or whatever and sneak into the city. And the flock is like, no, fuck that. We'll go now. In the daytime. We'll go now. Fuck it. We'll go. Animal control agent gets a hold of them and he starts chasing them. Animal control agent named Trumper. Not Trumpet, Trumper. And so he's chasing him and stuff like that all throughout the city. And he's picking him up, a couple at a time, few at a time, one at a time. He's picking up these sheep and these animals and stuff like that. And word gets back to Shaun the Sheep, the guy, the free-thinking sheep who actually has good ideas. And if you stop to listen to him, it makes goddamn sense. And if you listen to him the first goddamn time, it's done right the first goddamn time. So Shaun the Sheep is at the farm and he's like, oh, fuck, now I got to go into town and save these motherfuckers. So he goes into town. and saves everybody from Trumper. He saves the flock. He saves the other animals. He goes as far as saving the farmer shepherd. Sure, the dude's got amnesia and he don't really even know what the fuck is going on because of the retarded following sheep who played tricks on him and made him into a dumbass pretty much. Made him into a vegetable inside of his own damn brain. And Sean, he goes in and he saves all of them from the animal control agent named Trumper. That's what Sean does. He goes inside, he saves everybody. Everybody goes back to the farm. Oh shit, Trumper's behind him. He's following everybody. He don't want to just put them back in the animal control cages. The animal control agent named Trumper wants to just fucking annihilate them. He just wants to kill them all. He don't care. He just wants them to rule under his thumb. He don't want the farmer to rule the animals, and he don't want no one to rule over him. So he wants the farmer dead and everybody underneath him dead. Anybody who's not like him, he just don't like them. He don't wants the animals dead. He wants the farmers dead. He wants, he just wants everybody dead because he's an angry ass motherfucker. Who goddamn knows? Maybe his coloring is wrong today. Who knows? So anyway, they get back to the farm and they're like, woohoo, we're safe. And Sean the sheep is like, no, turn around. We're not safe yet. It's not done yet. And Sean the sheep is like, okay, one last brainstorm. Let's do this. And these goddamn following dumb sheep, dude, like, they're just like, duh, we don't have no more ideas. I've got no words. I don't know what's doing. And Sean the sheep is like, you guys caused this fucking problem. I'm going to fix it one more time. And if you fuck it up again, it will stay that way for forever. I don't care. I'm not fixing it one more time. So they defeat the animal control agent together. The shepherd comes in, the farmer guy or whatever, the animals flock together, the sheep flock together. Sean's got a brilliant idea and they defeat the animal control agent. Trumper is now gone. In the animal control agency, people are like, oh my God, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know he was killing all these people and these animals and stuff like that. We had no idea that that was what he was doing. We are so sorry. So they give Sean a medal, right? And they fire the Trumper. They fire the guy because they're like, they don't know where they went wrong. They thought maybe he was a good guy, and then they found out through the animals and everything that happened that it turns out he wasn't really a good guy. Because they had to fire him, and these sheep and everybody had to get together to like defeat him. But everybody worked together, and that was the point of it. They worked together and they listened to Sean, and they were like, well, fuck, if we'd listened to you the first time, we wouldn't be having to do this. Like, honestly, like we get. But it's just, this is the movie that my third grader watched in school last week. Sean the sheep. I remember, I was born in the 80s, okay? I'm almost 40-ish. I remember in school watching Animal Farm. And I'll do one on that. And if you don't know what it is, then well, I don't know what kind of school you went to, because that was considered an American classic and we absolutely had to read it. And then they had us watch it. Anyway, my son come home. They watched this movie, Shaun the Sheep. And I had to Google it because I was like, that don't sound like no damn Disney princess I've ever heard of. Like, that must be one of the movies I just zoned the fuck out on, right? And it turns out it is. Because we have seen it. I just have zoned the fuck out on it. But, like, he came home talking about it, and I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck? And he was like, blah, 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 Trumper and Shaun the Sheep and the flock and stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, I gotta go Google it. So I went and Googled it, and I YouTubed it, and I watched some of it, and I listened to some of it, and I was like, no motherfucking way did these sheep not just do that. No motherfucking way did that animal control agent just pretty much murder all them people because he just didn't like the way that they were. They wouldn't listen. They didn't like the way that they looked. They didn't agree with how they thought. The shepherd farmer may not be that bad, but he's not that motherfucking bad either. You know, just thinking about it and watching it and stuff, I'm like, first of all, I do not like that you showed that to my child because they don't understand it or whatever like that. But now as a parent, I understand what in the fuck you just showed them. And I'm like, pretty much this is what happened. Okay, Sean, the free thinking guy, was like, okay, I got an idea. I want to be a free sheep. I'm going to go ahead and be my own person and I'm going to go do my own thing. And the other sheep are like, okay, well, we want to do it. We want that too, but we want to do it this way. We're going to fuck with the shepherd first. And then we out. And then Sean the sheep is like, no, you don't have to do that. You can just be out. Like, that's all you need to do. Just leave. That's all you have to do. You don't need to do nothing. All you have to do is leave the fuck out. And then all this other shit wouldn't have even happened. But they don't do that. And then they just end up back with the shepherd anyway. And then with a bunch of apologies from Animal Control Agency, aka the goddamn government. Okay, let's just figure that the fuck out right now. Hang on, please. And I'm just sitting here, you know, as a 40-year-old mother, and I'm like, I know enough to... Don't ask, because you'll not like the answer. I'm sitting here, and I'm like, I understand everything that goes on the TV news, and I see what goes on the news that they don't show you on the TV, and I'm putting it all together. And then you show my kids something like this in fucking school where they say pretty much it's okay to have a free thought and stuff like that, but why don't you rein it in just a little bit so that we can keep our thumb under you in a different goddamn way? Because we may not be Animal Control Agency or anything like that, or we may not be this person, but we still gonna control you just enough to where you're going to listen to what we tell you, and you're going to do what we tell you to do, and you're going to be okay with it, because that's where you're content in being, and that's where I'm going to tell you that you're safe. I'm going to control you with all of this fear of all of this domestic terrorism and wars and plagues and viruses and this and that and variants and everything else that I want you to be fearful of, so that you know that it's okay to be content where you are. So that you know that you will stay where you are, because I made you content enough to stay where you are. And you're showing a movie like this to children who are impressionable at the certain ages, and now you wonder why motherfuckers is angry 40 years later after watching something like Animal Farm in the 3rd grade in school. I understand it now more than I understood it then, but I know now what they were doing then. I know now that they were getting us ready for Desert Storm, because that's what was happening then. Desert Storm. When they showed us Animal Farm when I was in the 3rd or 4th grade. That is what was going on, is Desert Storm. And now you're showing our children something like Shaun of the Sheep that says pretty much that you're going to come back just a little bit, enough to be comfortable where I can keep you content enough and still control you from the outside. But from the inside is what we're getting at here. That's what you're showing our children in school. And now you're wondering why 40 years later, you motherfuckers got people at the Capitol buildings and people who are angry that the America that we grew up in is not the America that our children are actually getting to grow up in. The America that we grew up in is not even the America that our parents grew up in. If you go back all of the way, the America that we grew up in has nothing to do with the America that they created. Except for all the problems that they created then that they just kept on band-aiding over and over and over again. Guess what? Rip that fucking band-aid off, because it ain't gonna get no goddamn better. You might as well rip the Band-Aid off and have had listened to Sean from the motherfucking beginning. And I don't know who the goddamn Sean is, but I'm willing to bet that he's some fucking alien in the goddamn moon or something like that, because I don't know how else to explain anything else in this fucking world right now. Can you explain it to me? Because I know inside of my rational ADD thinking brain, I can't even explain it to my goddamn self. But I can tell you right now that as a 40-year-old parent watching what I'm watching unfold inside of our world, I am angry as fuck that the school even showed that to my child, and they know it now because I sent a letter to explain it. I want to know what you're showing my kid before you show my kid, because if I decide that my kid's not watching that fucking garbage, my kid won't be there that day. Explain to me why in the middle of COVID season or whatever the fuck is going on. You have every child from every grade and every class sitting in an auditorium, elbow to elbow, watching this movie. It's so important that you wear a mask, but you elbow to elbow in the auditorium watching this movie. That movie is so important that you risk my child's life for it. And when I read more and more about that fucking movie, and I'm livid as a parent because I know enough now to know that I'm not goddamn stupid, and I know I'm not the only parent seeing stuff like this, because now I'm seeing stuff talking about vaccines coming home and talking about, has your child been vaccinated? Is your child up to date on their vaccines? Nope. And he's healthier for it. So the minute you try to fucking push vaccines again, or you try to show them a garbage movie talking about communism and anti-fascism and whatever other bullshit that it really is trying to subliminal message about, which is something Germany did, which is something that the Nazis did, which is something that our own government did to get us to fight in World War II. Wait a minute, what did she say? She's a smart ghetto mouse. You mean she has a point? Oh, you mean we're living through it now? There's communism in America? It's not a democracy, it's all a lie? Well, goddamn, ain't you been paying attention? They already programmed us. Why do you think we angry? Because we would be deprogrammed the last 5 fucking years. Now we fucking woke. Now we see what's really going on. Now we know what really happened. Everything was a fucking conspiracy until they told us there was UFOs. Everything was a conspiracy until they tested the water and found hormone-changing pills inside of it. Everything was a conspiracy until people started having fucking chips implanted inside of their hands. Everything a conspiracy until it starts to become facts. And y'all better start checking your facts against other facts, because these facts lie. But you can see it inside of the schools. They still do it. They're still programming our children with movies like this being shown. Movies like Shaun the Sheep. Movies like anything like that. You know, anything that involves pretty much that shit. Like I just said, like if you paid attention at all, you understand what the fuck I'm trying to tell you. And if you don't understand what the fuck I'm trying to tell you, maybe you got to look at what side of the line you on. Are you a sheep or are you a Shaun? Are you a farmer or are you a shepherd? Are you the animal control agent? Who are you? Like, in the end of this movie, who are you going to be? Me? Motherfucker, I'm going to be the one on the other farm who's looking at the other farm in the other city going, damn, they got a lot of problems. I just sitting there eating my fucking food, drinking my drink, being like, I'm ready to get the fuck out. Come on over here and try some shit, because I'll fuck you up. Don't try me. Don't come after my fucking sheep. Don't come after my fucking flock, because I'm the shepherd that sit there with a fucking gun. I'm the fucking shepherd that sit there with a fucking bow. Don't come in my fucking flock. Like, don't do that. But the school now knows not to do that. Oh, and at the end of the movie, I don't know if I told you this, but the animal control agent, the guy named Trumper, in the end of the movie, ends up standing in front of a chicken restaurant selling food with a chicken suit on. He's like the sign guy, like, hey, I got chicken. Come get your filet. Like, nah, I ain't getting chicken from you either. I don't trust your chicken either. I ain't getting shit from you. Don't ask me. But it's cute that the whole point of it behind it is, honestly, we're just going to keep you content enough and comfortable enough where you are so that you don't go where you're not supposed to be. So you stay exactly where you are, content enough and happy enough, and you're okay there. You're going to stay there. You ain't going to move from there. That's where you're supposed to be. Stay there. It's safe, right? It still ain't safe because they still come in and got up everybody, right? Okay? If you pay attention, they programming our children again. Last time we was programmed in 91, 92, Desert Storm, Animal Farm. Now we going through all this shit. all kinds of world wars breaking out all over the place. I don't know if you even pay attention, but China angry, Iran angry, everybody got fucking armies. Our army's stuck here because of the inauguration. We can't even get our troops off of our fucking continent right now to help anybody or fight back anywhere. Like, we fucked. Do the goddamn math. They program the deprogrammable.